Hi, and welcome or welcome back to the Soul House Yoga Retreat, Northern Maine YouTube channel. I'm Donna Davidge, owner of Soul House, and we've been offering retreats in Northern Maine since 1997, but it wasn't until just recently that I realized I could share all these years of teaching more frequently on YouTube. So one that's come up for me recently was I was teaching a vinyasa class in New York City, which is the most popular form of yoga. And a man in class asked me why I had my toes curled under in upward facing dog, right? So I wanted to talk a little bit about feet today and what's up with upward facing dog and our feet in practice. So for me, I don't have very good feet. I have very narrow feet with really large bunions. It's hard to balance. And I wrote a book about my yoga journey, my life journey called Balancing with Bunions, had another title, but anyway, eventually went to that, which I know sounds weird. But the truth is, it's not that easy to balance with bunions. So that could be a whole nother topic, of which I'll cover just slightly here, because I really want to talk about your feet in upward facing dog and in yoga poses. Your feet are your foundation, and your legs and your feet are what keep you grounded on earth. I fell over my dog the other day, right before I knew that it was a super new moon in Taurus where we had to learn about grounded growth. So I had something to learn, I believe, about being more grounded in my life. So we have different temperaments. Some of us are more grounded and tend towards depression and lethargy. And some of us, like me, have been gifted with lots of energy, which is a blessing. But when you scatter it all over the place and do too much with it, you can get a bit overwhelmed and then you're not grounded. So our feet are what ground us in the world. So for people like me, you can do things like this. These are toe spreaders. I've used them over the years and my bunions got larger. It didn't really help that much, but I still use them sometimes when I'm in bed or hanging out in my apartment or at my house in Maine. And this is what I do in my yoga practice. I love Iyengar yoga because we use props, but we also hold things. So when I'm doing my downward facing dog, or maybe even my upward facing dog, or just standing on my feet, I do this. I put this on my feet and see how I can spread my toes. I cannot spread my toes anymore very well without that. Now think about that in your feet. You might have toes that naturally spread a bit, which is really great, but look at your feet and see where they're at. And now I'd like to look at that just a little bit in terms of a couple of poses so that we can think about our feet in all of our poses where we're standing. We're not going to take the time to look at a ton of standing poses, but some of the basics here based on that question from that person. And I love getting questions because it gives me ideas of what to share with you here. Okay, so here we are. I'm on all fours. There's a really great stretch here that you can do where you curl your toes under and press the heel back. I think you might be able to see where I fell on my dog. There's a little injury there and needed to get more grounded. So here I am thinking about the foot and pressing that back. So that's toes curled under. Let's add a plank pose there. Spreading fingers wide, curling toes under. Now we always curl our toes under for plank pose most of the time, except in some Kundalini sets where they tell you to do it flat and that's more challenging. And so here I am in downward facing dog, and that's always with my toes curled under. So let's go to upward facing dog. Here I am in my upward facing dog without my hair thing. Let me put on a hair thing. And for my feet, this is a good way for me to spread my toes. And also for me now these days, if I do the vinyasa approach, which is the toes flat, my toes tend to not spread and my feet tend to want to cramp. So I give that option when I'm teaching for people to try. And then just lastly, what does it do, right? So when you press the right heel back, you're stretching the back of your leg and you're strengthening the front of it, right? Opposite, when I flatten my toes, right? I'm stretching the front like the quadriceps and I'm strengthening and squeezing my buttocks and hamstring. By the way, I can squeeze my buttocks here too, and that helps the hamstring a little bit. But just so you know, the dynamic of the stretch is different, right? Whether the leg has the foot flexed or pointed. Okay, and that started to cramp my ankle. See, so for my body, a lot of times that is not the optimum. What I've understood now after many years of yoga is that there is no absolute. And I do understand that you might be in a class where the teacher has everyone have their toes flat. That's great. But if for some reason that doesn't work for your body, or you try the other way, I see students now when I teach trying the other way, try new things and see what works in your body. And remember, there are no absolutes. Yoga is a continual learning and growing process. Just like this super new moon in Taurus said, this was about grounded growth. So if you're not grounded, which I obviously wasn't that day, it was in my apartment, it made no sense. It wasn't like an accident or anything. You just got under feet and then there was an accident. Just look at things that happen in your life and learn from them and become more whatever you need to be, right? And realize there are no absolutes. We're just doing the best we can. So thanks very much for tuning into this little segment on feet. I hope that it helps. There's a lot more to feet, how you ground them into the earth, how you equalize the weight. You can try that in a mountain pose. You can try that in a tree pose. You can try it in so many poses, your warrior poses. But for today, I think that's enough on the foot. And so have a great day. Stay grounded on the earth and let it carry you. Take care.